You know, one of the most important things we do here at the MeidasTouch Network, and one of the most important things that I've really devoted my time to, is speaking with former Trump supporters and getting to learn why it was that they were Trump supporters, how they ultimately left MAGA when they first realized that MAGA was a cult and that it had all of this bad energy and it was just do whatever Donald Trump told it to do. And so you may have seen the last interview I did here with a former self-professed ultra MAGA. His name is Chris Nelson. And let's face it, you didn't get much more ultra MAGA than Chris Nelson. I mean, Chris was running the Stop the Steal rallies. Let me be clear, in Florida, not the one in Washington, D.C., in Florida. He would go to all of the Trump events. He was a MAGA influencer, would go on all the right-wing MAGA, shows. He'd hang out around all the MAGA people. But eventually, Chris had this epiphany as he was watching the January 6th committee hearings and seeing some of the people who he considered to be his friends and colleagues within the Trump administration and the Trump campaign admit under penalty of perjury that they had been lying to people like Chris, that they had been lying to MAGA to enrich themselves to stay in power. And Chris made a commitment that he would never be MAGA again, and he left. And, what was interesting is when I found out that Chris Nelson was a MeidasTouch Network fan, and he and I started talking first on X or Twitter or whatever it's called these days. Then we started having phone conversations and starting to realize that, look, we may have different political views still. I mean, he's still a Republican, although I consider our pro-democracy movement here to be very inclusive of people who are Republican, independents, Democrats, liberals, progressives, and bringing everybody together. And through our phone conversations, we got along great. We did that video together that did 1.1 million views. And Chris and I were speaking recently, and I decided that we needed to bring our conversation back to you, the people. So look who I got. I got Chris Nelson. So Chris and I were talking about how MAGA continues to mock addiction. And the attack on Hunter Biden, the attack on how President Biden was there for his son during Hunter's darkest days in addiction. And Chris and I were saying, look, everybody either knows someone in their family or a close friend who is going through addiction. We know people who have died from addiction. And anyone who's going through addiction would tell you that what President Biden did for Hunter to be there for him in his darkest moments, but for that, it's possible that Hunter would be not alive today. And I don't know, when I hear President Biden on those phone conversations, I don't care what political party you're from, it's a dad who's there for his son. And the fact that MAGA attacks that is very revealing of that movement. And Chris, you posted Joe Biden stuck by his son's side while he was going through his addiction and being made a public spectacle of. He did not toss him under the bus. I know I've been doing a lot of talking, Chris. Let me just show you this video right here, though, of Donald Trump. This is, I could show you 100 videos like this. I just picked this one at random as I was going through my archive. But here Trump is at a speech he gave in the past year or so, attacking Hunter, attacking President Biden for loving his son. I think this one's at CPAC. Here, let's play the clip, then I want to get your reaction.
By the way, where's Hunter? Where is Hunter? Remember? Where's Hunter? Will there ever be a time when Joe Biden says, this thing with Hunter just isn't working out well? I'm starting to get a little angry at Hunter. Or when Hunter comes to him and says, Dad, we have a problem. What? What is it, son? Another one? Oh, son, you're a disaster, son. Son, you're a disaster. Dad, we have a problem. I left my laptop at the repair shop. And Joe looks at him and says, what's on it, son? What's on it? And Hunter looks back and he says, every single crime that you've ever committed, Dad.
So I'd love to get your reaction, Chris. Welcome back, by the way. And look, you're a Republican, but you and I both agree that that behavior right there it's abhorrent.
Well, and I see Matt Gaetz getting up there and clapping to that, like what he's one to talk with the accusations that are going on against him and the investigation into him. Give me a freaking break. But this was about the time that I started to kind of go like, I think at that point Trump had lost me. But people were really mad that the Hunter Biden laptop story, that it was taken down off Twitter because because the election was going on and stuff. But then and that was wrong. But then it turns into this thing where we're just punching down on this guy and just attacking him over and over again. And what are we attacking him for exactly? Well, I mean, he did some embarrassing things. And he's an addict, and I think he's actually answering for some of that stuff too, legally. But because I was only tuned into places like Fox News and other places that were only telling me what I wanted to hear about this, I didn't get the whole other side of the story. I didn't get the side of the story that Hunter Biden has actually been sober for a number of years. It wasn't until I finally started listening, I think it was MeidasTouch actually, that I started to see clips that Fox News and other places weren't showing. And it was like, and it was Hunter talking about his struggle with addiction. He lost his brother. And come on, can we all say that Beau Biden is a hero? I can disagree with every single one of Biden's policies, which I disagree with 90% of them. I supported Ron DeSantis, who I still think Ron DeSantis is great, and he's done so much with fighting the fentanyl. But can we at least just as human beings admit that Beau Biden was a hero and that he went to Iraq and came home and caught a disease from it and tragically died from it, and then that Hunter Biden actually this fueled his addiction and is wanting to escape? Can we at least look at that? But no, we're not looking at this compassionately anymore. We're not looking at this in terms of election interference or anything like that anymore. We're looking at this in terms of let's mock the guy. Let's hit him while he's down. Well, somebody that like myself who is in recovery, actually, I just started to be really disgusted by that, and that's just. I just don't see how anybody can get up and clap for that kind of thing.
I mean, look, we're grateful for you even sharing your story and opening up about being in recovery and, in your darkest days, what that was like, how easy it is to sometimes relapse back to that moment. And it seems that what MAGA was trying to do and what Trump is trying to do is knowing that President Biden, again, take away the politics here. I think it's an undisputed fact that President Biden wholeheartedly loves his son and would do anything for his kids and anything for his family. To use that to try to either get into President Biden's head, to try to hurt Hunter Biden and make Hunter Biden, relapse for political gain. I mean, just think about this. The leader of the Republican Party today is Donald Trump. I mean, he's the Republican nominee. He's posting things and has posted things like this. He's taking photos. We're not going to show you the full photo here, but Salty, you can put it up like a nude of Hunter Biden. See, I cut it off. Like a nude of Hunter Biden at his darkest days. And Trump will repost it and says, everything is exposed on Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, including massive crime by Joe and Hunter. And here's the thing too, Chris, I, as a lawyer, when I was watching these oversight committee hearings, when they would say things like, well, on the laptop, there are 17 recordings that say this. And I would think to myself, okay, that's bad. If it says those things, I don't support that. If there's these crimes on the laptop, okay, show me the evidence. But what did they do? They just showed you naked photos of the guy over and over again, naked in the bathtub, naked over here, having sex here. And I'm just like, really? You just blatantly lied? Like on a bipartisan basis, we should all be like, that's disgusting. What do you think about it?
Well, first, let's just look at the fact of having your entire iCloud exposed to the world. I might not have stuff like that on there, but there's certain things you have, that are just between you and your wife or something like that, and then have the whole entire thing exposed to the world to begin with. But you had in those hearings, I was like, okay, let's see, give me the goods. We heard about the laptop over and over again. We hear Marjorie Taylor Greene go, oh, that laptop, Hunter Biden's laptop, over and over again. So it's like, okay, it's down to brass tacks now. You Republicans, you run the show here. Let's see what you got. Let's see these crimes. Let's actually see it proven. Because if Joe Biden committed some crimes, I want to see it. And I want to see it proven. And okay, let's impeach him. But what did we get? We got just performative things like Marjorie Greene holding up naked pictures, which aren't, by the way, aren't we the party that's against pornographic things in school libraries and stuff like that? But she's going to go on there and she's going to be holding this up. And for what? What was the purpose of that? Other than just to create a viral video that she can share on social media and then go on the Steve Bannon show. But there was nothing there. And thank God that my congressman, Jared Moskowitz, who was a DeSantis appointee, he served under Governor DeSantis, actually, that Jared Moskowitz was there to call this stuff right back and to go head to head on this stuff. But, going back to Joe Biden as a father, I really expected that when the salacious details of the Hunter Biden laptop came out, I thought that you were not going to see Hunter again. I thought Joe was just going to distance himself because I thought maybe he was a little bit like Trump, because that's pretty much what Trump would do to somebody. He'll throw anybody under the bus, even his most loyal supporters. But you didn't see that. And people were going, where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? Well, guess where we saw Hunter? We saw him right there walking next to Joe Biden. And I can disagree so much, which I do on almost every one of Biden's policies. But there he was as a father walking next to his son, even after all that embarrassing stuff came out. And it almost brought a tear to my eye when I saw this. And he said, I'm standing by my son. And when I see him with his son like that, that's what somebody needs. Because, yes, he's the son of the president. Yes, he's probably got a nice financial situation and things like that. But if somebody that's struggling with addiction, to have your family shun you or something like that, that can send you back to a dark place. But I didn't see that with President Biden. I saw him, even though in the face of public scrutiny, because all the embarrassing stuff on that laptop, yeah, I get it. But in the face of that public scrutiny, at a time where it would have been more politically expedient for him to toss his son under the bus and just put him away somewhere, he was there standing by his son at political expense. And I give him a lot of credit for that.
And as you and I continue to talk and chat, one of the things you and I talk about a lot is because we disagree, vehemently on politics. And as you mentioned, you're a DeSantis supporter. As you know, I'm supportive of President Biden, and that puts us, on different areas of certain types of spectrums, but where that differences are actually, they go away is when you and I just talk about very basic things like moral character. And you and I both agree that the person in the White House should set an example of a high level of moral character for the entire nation. And we want people who have principles. We want people who have a value set. We want there to be some level of predictability in decision making and like the decision tree, so we know that there's a level of stability. We want people who will be, I think, supportive of our country's national security and not sell it out for personal gain. We don't want, I think, people who are reposting things like this. And this is from Donald Trump Jr. after his dad was mocking the fact that somebody tried to kill Nancy Pelosi. And I'm sure, look, Chris, you disagree with Nancy Pelosi's policies. I don't even have to ask you. I know you do. But when someone is engaged in an attempted murder, and then Donald Trump and his son make up a lie that it was a homosexual relationship where that's what was happening, and Nancy Pelosi's husband was busted in a homosexual relationship, and that's why this whole thing happened, which this case went before a jury. This case, there was a trial that was actually held here. There was an outcome. There was a conviction. The process took place, and Don Jr. is posting photographs of hammers and underwear and saying the internet remains undefeated. Also, if you switch out the hammer for a leather-fed boa, you could be Hunter Biden in an instant. And it's like, we don't, we're the United States of America. We're so much better than that. And you and I can disagree. We're going to do it respectfully. And I just think we're so much better than that, though, Chris.
Well, unfortunately, Ben, this is what the internet eats up today. And there's a lot of stuff that's funny and a lot of things that you can make fun of that is really funny. But what people, and especially within MAGA, think is funny now are things like, oh, well, we all know Michelle Obama's a man. And then I'm just kind of like, what? Like, no, she's not. Like, why is that funny? But you see so many people just laughing. And they play to the lowest common denominator. And it's really like, you don't need any basis in fact. All you need is a basis in, oh, we've got some conjecture. People put something out there. And we all know that the problem with Twitter now is that the more the things that are made up, the things that are complete BS are the things that float to the top now. And it doesn't have to be backed up in fact. Like things that you would get sued if you printed in a publication, you can just put it up on Twitter. It'll go viral. Yeah, it'll get the community note, but it won't really, it doesn't really matter. It gets out by then. So people start to believe that that something was going on there between this guy and Nancy Pelosi's husband. It would be nice if we got a little more of an explanation of what went on with that. But it was, I mean, who wants to mock a guy that gets attacked by a hammer? I mean, that was just horrible. And these are a lot of places where, and by the way, you never saw Ron DeSantis engage in that kind of thing. That's what I liked about him is this return to normalcy you talk about. Let's just be normal. We can disagree with each other and be normal. And but this kind of stuff, it's mainly like frat boy type stuff, and they really used it against Ron DeSantis. I mean, they were making up MAGA paid influencers were making up rape memes with Casey DeSantis, Ron DeSantis's wife. And putting those out and attacking DeSantis that way. And for people at this point, after all that, after the way that they behaved, to come around and then say, oh, okay, well, he did all that, but we need to back Trump right now. We need to get behind Trump because we need to defeat Biden so much. You're telling me you're willing to get behind a guy that did all that stuff and stoop to those levels? Excuse me, but no, my moral center will not allow me to do that. So if it does mean 4 more years of Biden, then so be it. We had a candidate that didn't do this kind of stuff and is the most successful Republican we've ever seen. And the Republican Party not only opposed him, but actively worked to destroy him. So we're left with what we got right now.
So the last video you and I did, it got about 1.1 million views, and it's still growing. And, sometimes, we're even accused here of preaching to the choir, if you will, but I'm not even sure I just call it a pro-democracy choir. If Chris Nelson and I can get along like this and disagree respectfully over things and policies, but fundamentally at our core, want to talk about character and personal fitness and just being like respectful adults and back to normalcy. I think I want to make that a message for everybody out there that these are the conversations that should be taking place. I wonder the feedback that you've received, though, with this has gone mega viral. I mean, you've told me, too, that there's a lot of other DeSantis supporters, Nikki Haley supporters, Republicans, who tune in to the MeidasTouch network, even if they don't agree with with the policies that I have. I think they appreciate the level of Discourse. So I'm just interested from you as we conclude our interview, what you make of that, what kind of feedback you get as you come on a network like this and we have these types of conversations. And by the way, I think it proves that the clickbaity stuff that works on X and blah, 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 we're getting more views having adult conversations than they're getting doing that. So anyway, I'll give you the last word, Chris.
Exactly, Ben. And it's been positive and negative, but mostly positive because most of the negativity came at me from the Trump people during the primary, because suddenly Ron DeSantis and everybody who backed him became traitors to America and basically worse than dirt. And just some of these things that the Trump people were saying about us when they were loving Ron DeSantis just like months ago. So I took the brunt of it then. But yes, this right here proves that you can have a show. And I appreciate you, Ben. I appreciate the civil conversation. I appreciate the back and forth, not trying to cut each other off, not muting me, not trying to get under my skin to do this thing where we're yelling back and forth, and that you can actually get 1 million views. You can actually get a lot of views by having a civil conversation. We don't always need to be at each other's throats. Everybody on the internet now and on these podcasts, they seem to just want to own you. Like, oh, you got owned, man. Oh, just delete your account. Oh, take the L and like this kind of thing. I'm like, what is this? What we're doing now? Like, we're just trying to like obliterate each other and destroy each other. Especially like you see that a lot within the Republican Party. Like we're just trying to destroy each other over little petty things, so then we can strut around and go, oh yeah, I showed him. And if you think that's what makes for good radio, and good shows, it doesn't. And MeidasTouch proves it, that you can have regular conversations, regular good adult conversations, and it will still make for good content and get a lot of views, and people like it.
Chris Nelson, thanks for everything. We'll keep chatting. We hope to have you back on soon.
Thanks for having me on, Ben.
Make sure everybody hit subscribe. We're on our way to 3 million subscribers. Thanks to your support. Thank you all so much. Have a good one.
Enough! Send it to the big house, not the White House. Get the new exclusive tees, mugs, and stickers right now at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.